Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to raise the energy. You see, this is how I like it to sound. And for those of you who are coming late, please, ladies, you can use the extra chairs and put them one long line here so that we have everybody seated. It's quite interesting because when you have an event like this one, you never know how many people are going to show up. I'm sure team can confirm you could have 300 people register and 50 people show up. But I want to congratulate each and every one of you for coming here today. Who is seeing me for the first time in person? You see, it takes, a large number of people. It takes a lot to see somebody on the internet say something and you decide to come and listen to them. I appreciate you for that. And most especially, talking about money. Like, who the fuck is he to tell me about money? Sorry, I had to swear a little bit. I'm becoming Canadian. Right? So, I want to congratulate you for coming here today. You don't know me, and I don't know you. But we're going to form a community. We're going to have fun, and most especially, we're going to learn. And before I start, I want to clean the floor. This is not an event to invite you to join some company. This is not an event to invite you to sell some service after. Because most of the time when I've talked about financial literacy, people thought I was connected with another company and then wanted to use this as an opportunity to invite. I teach financial literacy plain and simple. Because I know that regardless of what you do and what business you are in, when you have the right understanding of money and the right mindset, you can thrive. So relax, let's have fun. This is Rise and Shine. There's no other company behind Rise and Shine. Yes, I'm going to invite you probably to pick up a copy of my book because I think there's more information in there. I could show you the Rise and Shine University platform that I've created to teach financial literacy and a mindset shift. But there's no other thing apart from this. So let's have fun. Now, we are meeting each other for the first time. When people come in a room, there's always that wall between people. It takes time to build a community. But I want us to do something impossible, which means I want us to build a community right here, right now. So I want you to turn to the person next to you and tell them you were born to shine. And when you do that, I want you to create that friendship. The idea here is that I want us to build that community because when you sit in a place for the first time, there's some barrier, you feel uneasy. But I want us to relax and understand that the person sitting right next to you is just another copy of you sitting there. He's not different from you. I used to have this idea of growing up and afraid of strangers. We all have stranger danger. We've heard about that. We've all cautioned our kids against people we don't know. But I realized when I went into business that everything you need will come from somebody you don't know. The business and interaction you will do. So I started dropping that. I started seeing the other person like me. And I've done that traveling to different countries. And sometimes when I get to a strange country, the next day I'm making friends. And the people like, Kennedy, what is it about you? We don't even know you, but here we are chatting like brothers and sisters. And I realized that it's because I internalized that idea, and when you reflect it, people open up to you. So let's open up to each other, interact. There's going to be times when we'll get you to say something just to raise the energy, to feel comfortable. Just do it. If I ask a question and you know the answer, just scream it. Nobody cares. And especially when I ask something, just raise your hand and say it, even if you doubt or you don't think it's correct. Nobody here is perfect. I learn every day. You're learning every day. My goal is that when you leave here today, you should go back with one thing that can make your life better. I have a different program for this Rise and Shine event. For my other Rise and Shine event, we talk mostly financial literacy. But today I have a schedule that will excite you, and I have reserved some of the best things for the last. And the reason I did that was so that we can hang out here till 6 p.m. And it's not just 6 p.m., it's that idea of learning and being able to know that if this person can explain this thing in lay terms and I understand it, I can do it. That last part I've reserved real estate talking. I'll talk about real estate today. Not because every person wants to invest in real estate, but I want to show some things that you might think is not possible. That's the last part. And I said how I bought my first 5 real estate properties. The reason I presented that today is to show you those little things that you might be missing out on and that you could be doing, because I tell people I came here as an immigrant, landed here with 2 boxes of 2 luggages of 23 kilograms each, and I had nothing else but a dream in my hand to realize that dream. And I have a special place for immigrants. The reason I say I respect immigrants specially is because immigrants are people who at some point in their life had to press the reset button and start everything all over. Right? And for you to press that reset button and leave behind your family, your community, your culture, everything you love so much, and then come over here and end up with another life that is not worth the sacrifice you made, to me, that's painful. So when I came here, I took the first few years studying immigrants, studying people, and I realized that many people would love to live the life that they dreamed of. Whatever success means to you. I'm not trying to say you need $1 million. Somebody just needs a peaceful life in the mountains, doing their thing, fishing, and to them that's success. So whatever you want to do or what you want to achieve, I realize that, one, money is a factor because we live in a materialistic world. I wish this world did not depend on money the way it does. Unfortunately, everything revolves around money. Just everything. And so people who understand money, I say understand money because if working hard was the route to being successful financially, I'm sure all our African moms would be millionaires because they work really hard. But I realized that you could work so hard your whole life, had 2, 3 jobs, not sleeping, and still end up poor and miserable. And not just poor, but in debt. So the thing was, these people have a good idea. They want this thing. What's missing? And that's where I went into these research and studies. And after studying and finding these things, I came to a point where I said I could teach this to people. Now, to explain what I mean here, this is not going to be a church sermon. But at some point, I'm going to mention God, universe, Allah, or whatever. I want you to feel comfortable, to realize that we all believe in something. In fact, if you don't believe in something, I think you should start believing in something, because you cannot accept the fact that all this universe and earth we live in just came about randomly. No, I have studied physics. There's enough proof that things did not just fall around randomly. So I'm going to mention God, Allah, universe, whatever. When I mention it, just connect it to the God that you believe in. To bring this point, my idea when I started researching this, it's because I grew up in Africa in a poor neighborhood, and we went to church every day. What we read and we were told in church did not connect with the reality. For instance, we were told that man has dominion over all the creatures and the creepy things on earth. But that was not the reality we were living. Because I realized that in my environment, these creatures were even living better lives than us. They had food. They did not have to work for food, but some days I went without food. They could drink water. They did not have to go fetch for water, but I walked kilometers. Right? We lived in an average house. Not because there were not better houses for sale. There were houses for sale. So this awakening came to me when I realized that there must be a missing link between what's said and the reality. And that's where my process started, my journey started. And I know that when people look for something for so long, it's hard to tell the solution you are looking for. See, I've had the most difficult thing I've had. And not just me, because we know it. A prophet is never recognized in their hometown. I'm sure you've heard that saying before. The idea is that if this man is your friend and tomorrow he brings a solution to your problem, you might not believe him. One, because you already know him. You're too familiar with him. You know him when you were growing up with him. And that's the thing here. People sometimes don't believe what they get for a solution because they imagine their solution to be far-fetched. Now, I want to make this clear. You are not here by chance. You did not see that video on YouTube by error. There was a reason why you fell on it, that you stumbled on it that morning. That friend did not invite you here by some random chance. No, there are reasons why things happen. The reason you're here today is because we all sitting in this room have a desire to live a better life, have a desire to sort out our finances so that we can go do other things. I like talking about financial freedom, not wealth, not riches in terms of money. Because financial freedom means, what financial freedom means to me is that if money wasn't a problem to you, if you had solved your money things, what else would you be doing with your life? I know that this guy, there's no other two people on earth like him. There's no other two people on earth like him sitting here. We are all uniquely different. And this means that your brain is wired in a way like no other brain on earth. This simply means that you have an intelligence that no other person out of 8 billion people has. And that intelligence is what I call your calling, your gift, what you came here for, your raison d'être. And many people go through life without touching that calling, without finding and doing that thing that they are passionate about, that thing that brought them here to earth. And the number one reason why they don't find that thing is because they are too busy trying to pay bills, busy trying to keep up with the demands of life. We've seen inflation change things all over. I came to Canada just a few years ago. I cannot imagine how much prices have gone up. Everything is changing. Just in 5 years, and they will keep changing. The idea is, if you could sort out and understand money and solve that part, and your bills and everything is good, what else would you be doing? Sometimes the people ask me, Kennedy, how do I find my passion? How do I find my calling? And I tell them, you find your calling in silence. But you don't have the silence because your soul is busy trying to keep up with life expenses. Every successful person, mentor, coach, person I've seen always has that meditative, quiet moment. And that's when the universe speaks to you. That's when God speaks to you. That's when you have those ideas of what you could be doing to help humanity live better. And many people will never find that, because when you have 24 hours in a day and you have to work for 8 hours, you have to sleep for 8 hours. How many is left? 8 hours left. In the 8 hours left, you have to shower, you have to take care of the kids, you have to eat food. If you put that together, there is no time left. So financial freedom to me means that regardless of what you're doing, even if you have a steady job that you love so much, how can you manage your money in a way that at some point you could have your money problem solved? Yes, you could still be working on a job when you're financially free, but you are working on a job at that time because you love that job. You love the love you give to people through the services you provide. That's a different ball game from somebody who's going to a job that they hate so much, but they have to do that job because the bills are waiting for them and the mortgage is waiting. That's my definition of financially free. Now, when you get to a point of financial freedom, everything after that becomes wealth building. So you could be financially free without being wealthy in the definition of the world. And you could be wealthy without being financially free. I'm sure you've seen wealthy people who have to work 24/7 to keep up with that lifestyle and that amount of wealth. So being financially free does not mean you're wealthy. You could be wealthy without being financially free. But I love the idea that you can build a life to wake up in the morning and choose what to do with your life. And I don't say this because I'm trying to boast. I say it so that I can show this brother that it's possible. I became financially free, which means I can wake up in the morning and sleep the whole day and do what I want. Yes, I can wake up and be busy for 24 hours, but I choose to do that because I love what I do. And that's what we're going to be talking today. I'm going to show you what it means. And regardless of where you are, it's not for business people, it's not for employees, it's not for people who don't have jobs, because when I studied all this, I came to the realization that regardless of where you are, you can become financially free when you have the right mindset and you understand how money works. The reason I talk about money is because somebody created money. A group of people created money. They designed the monetary system that we use. And if you don't understand, it's like somebody who wants to play hockey. You cannot play hockey if you don't understand the rules of hockey. You cannot play soccer if you don't understand the rules. But I realized that money is something nobody teaches. When you buy appliances, they come with user manual. You buy something, they give you instructions. They tell you how to use it, how to troubleshoot it. But when our paychecks get handed over to us, no, they get thrown at you. You do whatever you want with it. And everybody uses it their own way. But I want to tell you that money has a set of user manuals, has a set of things that if you follow and do those things, you will become financially free. I love the idea of becoming financially free. And then mindset comes in because money is not just the physical paper we see in the bank. Money has a lot of components. It has an emotional component. You're going to interact with people in the process of making and growing money. You need to understand all that and position yourself so that you can have the highest amount of money that you want. And of course, why do you want money? You want money so you can do the good things that are in your head that you want to do. I know everybody here is a good person. When I talk about money, I like to tell people, at some point you need to disconnect from the old conditioning that brought some negative connotations to money. We all come from cultures and backgrounds where we've heard negative things about money sometimes. It's like, oh, money, you know, I mean, we've all heard those bad money things. Rich people exploit poor people, right? Money is a bad thing. Oh, these rich folks, they should be taxed because they're using the poor people to make money and stuff like that. When you filter all that out and realize that money in itself is neither bad or good, the person who owns the money defines the money. And I know you are all good people, which means if you can have more money, the world will be blessed. I tell people, money in the hands of a good person leads to more good in the world. Money in the hands of a bad person leads to more bad. So it's the person, not the money. So I want you to shift that from today. Go in and have as much money as you can, because by doing so, you will make the world and your surrounding and the people you love live a better life. Cool. I don't want to talk too much because there's a timekeeper there that's going to stop me. Now, for us to really understand, I don't want to skip this image because I started this, but I want to tell you why I brought this. The reason I brought this is that I know you've been searching for something. You've been desiring something, but people are still going to leave this place today and go looking for what they're searching for. Now, the reason I brought this story is that this man was driving on the mountains and then somehow had an accident and his car rolled over by the cliff and went down. And luckily, he was pushed out of the car and he was hanging by this cliff here. And when he was hanging there, nobody to help him. Down below was a deep valley, and he knew that if he fell from there, he's gone. So this man screamed, "Is there anyone else there? Is there anyone there? Anyone to help me? Is there anyone?" And his voice echoed and he heard nobody. And he knew death was imminent. And at some point, after screaming, he heard a voice that said, "I am God. Trust and let go." And this man stopped and then turned and screamed again, "Is there anyone else there?" And you know why? Because he needed a savior. He needed something to help him. But when that thing came, he did not trust it. Many people need financial freedom. Many people would like to solve their money problems. But when we have occasions like this, people come and they leave the room and still go out there and is there anyone else there? The solutions you are looking for sometimes come to you through the people you might not expect. So open up your mind today. Let's receive this. I want you to take all the knowledge you get from here today and go try it. Go practice it. Connect with me. Connect with somebody. Ask questions. Because truly, my desire is that you go back with one thing that can make your finances better. Okay. Doing the same thing over and over is an acceptable level of insanity when you expect different results. I'm sure we've heard that. It was said by Einstein. I noticed that many people in life keep doing the same thing over and over. But sometimes we expect different results and we hope and pray that things can happen differently. We go to school. When school doesn't work, because we were programmed to know that going to school is to have a good job and you can live a good life. We go to school, we come out of school, get a job we thought was a good job, and still we're not having the good life. What next do? We go back to more school. And then go back to more school because we always hope that the next level of education will give us the good life. Now, how many people here have had to change jobs and careers because they thought that a different job and a career will give them a better life? Many people. How many people have had to move to different cities and different countries because they thought that that is where the success is, not here? And you know how I realized this? I discovered that this is like you're waiting for a bus to go somewhere. And you jump on the bus and realize it's a different bus. It's a wrong bus. And instead of you getting off that bus, you start changing seats in the bus. You go sit in front here. It doesn't work. You go sit here and you're in the same bus. You need to get off that bus and wait for the right one. So changing jobs, changing careers, traveling to different locations, going back to school would be like changing seats in a bus if you don't have financial literacy and the right mindset. To be honest, you don't need money to make money. You don't need a good career to be financially free, because I'm one of those people. I've never been to school in Canada since I came here. I've invested in real estate. I've bought many properties. I'll be showing you how I bought the first 5. I mean first 5. It doesn't mean I have 5. I have dozens of tenants. If I could do all this with the small knowledge I have coming from Africa, I'm sure you can do it too. I realize that financial literacy is for somebody who can read and write and understand what I'm talking here. You don't need a bachelor's degree. You don't need a master's or a PhD. So you need to get to that point at some point where you are sick and tired of your situation. That's why I put this guy's face. He's sick and tired. You need to get to that point of disgust where you've tried so many things and it's not working. That's when that change comes. That's when you decide to change things. But now, are you going to wait for that moment where your life has hit the roof and you're so tired and exhausted? Why can't you initiate the change when you're still happy and fine? And it's that change that I want you to start from today. Cool. I have a lot to present here before I go, and the timekeeper tells me it's done. Okay. Now, the reason I had this is just to illustrate to you. I like to have these small stories so you can go back home with something to remember. I see the world as this picture here, which looks more like the wretched people here, and there's a wall, and then there's the rich people there with a pool and enjoying life. It's more like the US-Mexican border, or more like Israel-Pakistan, no, Israel-Palestine and something, whatever. But I just want to use this example for you to memorize this. The world is made up of rich and poor people living side by side. And you get the poor people here, everybody wants to be on that side. Everybody wants to have enough money to do the things they want to do. And what do these people do? They go back to school. All that is trying to cross over to that side. They change jobs, they work multiple jobs, they do that. This wall here is so strong that all that will not get you to that side. And I explained that this wall has a gate, and that gate has a code on it. Anybody who understands that code punches it and the gates open and he walks into the rich side. But if you don't understand that code, you could do everything you want to do here and you will not get over to that side. And you know what that code is that I call? Financial literacy and having the right mindset. When I understood this thing, I finally realized why some people have been poor for hundreds of years and continue being that way. When I came over to this side of the world, I did not come to just make money. I came to learn and understand why other people, despite what they do, despite the donations, the millions of dollars that come in donations and help, they never get to that point of being financially okay. And I realized after a lot of learning that it's all connected to this, financial literacy and the right mindset. And this quote touched me a little bit when the person who contributed to my becoming what I am today, he told me, he said, Kennedy, if you took all the money on earth and redistributed to everybody equally, that is, if you took all the billionaires, took all their money, redistributed to everybody, in a few short years, that money would be back into the pockets of its original owners. Who here can agree to that? You see, when somebody is poor, they think, sorry, I'm going to use the word poor. I'm not being mean. It's just a way of describing so that we know. I know many people fall in between. But when we study money, we talk about poor, middle class, and rich people. When somebody is broke, they think that money is the problem. They think that if you just gave them money. Who here has heard somebody say that if they just had capital, they would do business? Many people think that doing business is capital. No, I will prove to you today, you don't need capital to start a business. Somebody who has capital is already rich. He doesn't even need to start business. Get what I'm saying? You start business to get capital. Capital is the accumulation of money. Trust me, what I will say here today, one, will be controversial. Two, might be things that will make you feel uncomfortable. But I know that you did not come here today to listen to something that is comfortable, to hear something that you already know. I want you to open your mind and listen to it without being judgmental and blocking yourself from understanding, but just open up and go with the flow. Write down all the questions you have. We'll have a question and answer session after each half, because we have a first half and a second half. Write down your questions. I will answer them. If there's no time to answer, I can take meetings after this event and we'll discuss one-on-one. But trust me, you don't need money to make money. You don't need capital to start a business. You're not poor because there's a less amount of money, or the rich people have taken all the money, or they're using poor people. No, we will reverse that. And the reason I'm saying it, and the reason I think I'm qualified, is because I came from the other side and switched over to the other side. So I know both sides. I can explain both sides. Okay, I'm going to quickly go over this before I hand over the mic. And I know our time is going out, but I need to explain this. I call this the immigrant cycle. The reason I called it the immigrant cycle is not because it belongs to immigrants only. If you're not an immigrant, just hold on tight. I'll bring you in at some point. Amy is my personal assistant. When I started this journey, I was talking a lot about immigrants, and someday at the office she had to tell me, Kennedy, this is not just about immigrants. We're struggling too. Everybody needs it. And I had to start changing the wording and using less of the immigrant thing. But I'm going to use this as an immigrant cycle. This is a cycle that catches many immigrants. And if you're here, you might find yourself at some point in the immigrant cycle. Now, when an immigrant comes in as a newcomer, usually they leave with a host, somebody to receive them. It could be a family member or a friend. They live here. So he comes in, needs a job as soon as possible. Usually he gets a resume that is done for him by people who've been here before. And sometimes they put some experiences on something he has no clue about it, or he or she. And they tell you, go drop that resume here, go deposit here, you get a job. And he goes and they say, if they ask you this, just say what we tell you. And he's sometimes shocked that he could get that job without a lot of experience. And now when he gets that job, what happens? When you come as a new immigrant, the bank opens an account quickly, and your first credit card is sent to you in the mail in a couple of weeks. And when you get that first credit card, you get so excited. You call your friend, I just got my credit card. And sometimes it's the first credit card ever, because we sometimes come from countries where we don't have such credit cards easily accessible. And you call your friend, I just got my credit card, it's $1,000, it's $500. And usually the information that you get from the bank here is not so much about credit cards. Sometimes all you get is that, well, if you pay your minimum payments, you're fine, everything is good. And now with that first credit card, you usually get a first job. And when you come from a different country, your qualifications sometimes don't get you into the job system here. And you get a job that is very, that brings you down in terms of dignity. You're not where you used to be. Who here has been in an Uber and the Uber guy said he was a doctor back in his country, or maybe an engineer? We see a lot of them. When you get to that point, it drains you mentally. You want to catch up. You're trying to look for something that can put you back where you feel dignified. And at that point, usually they get information from their other friends, the people who've been here before, because when you come as a new immigrant, the highest people you go for advice and help are other immigrants who've been here before you. And you believe what they tell you because you think they are the ones who understand the system. But nobody tells you they are just fumbling around too and probably not making it. And when you get that advice, it's usually maybe go back to school. A lot of programs get advertised to new immigrants. Could go do power engineering if you're a man, go do social work, or go do nursing. Nursing makes good money in this country. And that's how we get into going back to school at that point. At that point in school, everything looks good because you get a student loan, and sometimes you get a $5,000 grant, and you're happy that they're giving you a grant too, and the loan is there. And when you come out of school, you have a student loan and a credit card you've been paying. When you are in school, life looks good. And when something happens, you could use your credit card because you know after school you're going to get a full-time job. When you graduate here, we come, we take pictures, we're happy, social media is good. And then that's where the real life starts. You need a job. We all know how this city has been built. We need a car to navigate the city. When you use the bus, life is so difficult. You need a car at that point. And because you need a car, the best way you can do is go to that car dealership place and sign these pieces of paper. It's just $450 bi-weekly. It's not much, right? And when you look at your job at that point, you know you can make it. It can work. So you get that car. And you get that car at this point, you have 3 debts. You have a car payment you're doing, you still have that student loan, you know you're going to pay it because you've done the math and it's working, and probably your credit card that you used because your auntie was sick back home and you had to send some money. And that new job is here, everything seems to be going good. At this point, that basement or that apartment we're living in starts feeling uncomfortable because most people at this point probably have a family with 1 or 2 kids. And because you have a full-time job, the realtors are there advertising mortgages everywhere and advertising these houses, and they tell you just sign here, it's just a down payment and you have a good job, you're going to qualify. The government gives incentives. So we go that time and buy a house, and in most cases, I will show you how the housing system works. Many people buy houses because in that moment, the math and the calculations show that things are going to work out for you. You don't factor out inflation in the next 5 years, how things are going to drastically change. And at that point, things seem to be going good. This is my observation for most immigrants. When people get to this point, if you are above 40 and you have a new mortgage, you have a car payment, you have a credit card that you have to pay, you have a student loan, if you have these 4 debts at that time and you are above 40, to be honest, if you don't change your game, if you don't change your financial game, you know what you just did to yourself? You just hung yourself. I'm sorry I have to use that word. Because you're 40 or above, you have a 25-year mortgage. When you finish paying that 25 years plus 40 years, how old are you? 65. I want you to scream when I ask questions. Let's have fun. You're 65. 65 is retirement age. And during those 25 years of you paying that mortgage, you don't have an excuse for 1 month. You cannot skip a month. You're signing your life out for 25 years of hard work and labor, and knowing that by the time you're done paying that, your youthful age is gone. So to me, that is not the American dream we came for. Sometimes I tell people they call it the American dream because to most people, it's just a dream. It will never be reality. So if you're at this point and you don't change your game, you just crucified yourself, because you're not just struggling with that 25-year-old mortgage. There's a student loan you have to pay. There's the mortgage you have to pay and your credit card. It becomes tougher. I know people who have to work day and night to pay for the house they live in, and they're not even sleeping in that bed. And my question is, you're working to pay for the bed that you don't sleep in. And the car you're driving, you're going to that work so you can pay for the car that you mostly just use to go to work, because that's the main thing people do. Go to work, come back, go to work, and then go to the mall, do some grocery shopping. And if you have to do that, your kids will eventually catch up in it, because now you've not had enough asset for your kids. They would go take a student loan too because they have to go to college because you've not saved, and then they wind up in the same cycle. So my presentation of this is not to make things look dark. It's to make you figure out where you find yourself here. And regardless of where you find yourself here, if you apply the right financial literacy and the mindset, you can liberate yourself. Because I was at some point in that cycle too. And I succeeded in liberating myself. And now let's come back to the non-immigrants. I told you this is not just about immigrants. It's about everybody. Okay, so where does the non-immigrant fit in? You see that thing over there? What is it?
Crab.
Well, it's a frog in a pan. Now let me tell you the story of the frog in the pan. I'm sure you've heard about that story. If you take a frog and throw in hot water, what does it do? It jumps out immediately. But frogs are cold-blooded animals. What does this mean? It means that frogs and crocodiles are animals that can adapt their temperatures to their environment. If it's cold, your body temperature gets cold. You cannot do that. Your temperature stays fixed regardless of the external temperature. So if you took a frog and you wanted to cook that frog, you would not throw it in a pot of hot water. You put it in lukewarm water. And then you start raising the heat slowly. As you raise it, the frog adapts to the temperature. It will not jump out. It will keep adapting. And by the time it realizes that my legs are being cooked, it's already done. Right? Now, I don't want to make it nasty. I just want to say that sometimes when you're a non-immigrant, you grow up in the system from a child. You don't see these things. When a non-immigrant comes into the system, they get shocked. They see it immediately. But if you've grown into it, if it's been a lifestyle, you would hardly see it. The point here is to make you realize that you are in one of the best countries in the world, and you should be living a life that fits a country that is way better than most other countries. I sometimes tell people, welcome to heaven, and they think I'm kidding. Calgary got classified as one of the most livable cities on earth. Am I right? Canada has been one of the most countries on earth for so many times. That's correct, right? So if there is a heaven on this earth, brothers and sisters, you are there already. There's no better place. Travel to Europe and other countries, see how people admire this place. And imagine you living in this place that I call heaven on earth. And someday you go to heaven, for those who believe they're going to go to heaven and see God. And you tell God, God, I was in Canada, lived all my life, and I was broke. What is God going to do? If you're God, what are you going to do? And there's that guy there from Sudan who lives his whole life praying to come to Canada and never had the chance to come here. So that's the awakening I want you to feel. I want you to realize what you're missing and what you could be doing and how you could solve your money problems so that you can do better things rather than struggling to pay bills and pay the banks or their mortgages. I'm not saying mortgages are bad. I've got mortgages, but they're good mortgages. All right, guys. I'm going to stop here because I've already started cheating on the time. She's waiting to take over the stage. We're going to do it this way. I'll talk, and she will take the stage for 5 minutes. And then after that, I'll bring a different topic. The first part of my conversation will be more about mindset. And it's the same thing in my book. I just wrote a book. I released it. I took all these things I know and I put it in a book with the intention that people who can read and master that book, they can use it to change their personal finances. In the last Rise and Shine conference, I went deep into budgeting, personal finance budgeting. And I gave out finance sheets to everybody. I brought those same sheets today. They are in the red binders that you have. I want you to take them home for free. The idea with budgeting is that when you understand personal finance budgeting, you can master your money and know where the money leaks are, where your money is going, know how much deficit or excess you are making every month. And based on that, you can design a budget. I have 9 types of budget that I taught in the last conference. Based on your personal situation, your personality and where you want to go in life, you can choose the budget types that fits you and then apply that budget type. And sooner or later, you will see yourself having excess money. And of course, when you have excess money, what do? That's when you can start thinking of investing, thinking of putting it somewhere to generate money, thinking of saving for your retirement. You cannot do that when you're still struggling month to month to keep up with bills. So get those forms. I am doing this for free. Somebody asked me, why do you do this? Why would you spend this money, rent this place, provide the snacks, everything, and all the crews and everything? That's my own way of giving back. Because I am not successful if we are not successful. That's how I feel. The more, I say it, I'm going to measure my success based on the number of people that I can help become successful. Thank you. I appreciate that. Good. So not to draw things longer, financial, okay, no. That should be my next, Yeah, I was saying that the first part will be mindset. So you understand clearly the connection between mindset and realizing your life. And then the second part after break will be financial literacy, where I talk about real money. We've all been to financial literacy places. It doesn't work because if the mindset is not understood. So I'm going to be filtering to teach you clearly how this whole idea of mindset works and how you can make those small shifts in your life that can make a big difference. She will take the mic for now. After the first session, we'll have questions and answers. So write down all your questions when I'm explaining everything. Take a lot of pictures, hashtag them. Break time is going to be more of a networking thing. I want us to have a system where you meet this person, have a conversation with them. If you have a business, a lot of us here are business people already, give your business card and meet another person. Let's make use of those 30 minutes of networking during break time. Take pictures. We'll be having a little bit of interviews during break time. And then when we come back, we're going to talk money. We're going to talk how all this comes together and the things that you can do from now at home with your spouse or with your kids, and then slowly start seeing your financial situation changing. Awesome. Financial literacy is simply the possession of skills that can help you take better decisions when it comes to your finances. That's all. Because when I talk financial literacy, it sounds like some big university idea. Mindset, on the other hand, is just the set of attitudes that you need to adopt in order to get the things that you want to get in life. And so the Rise and Shine conference the Rise and Shine network is aimed at connecting these two, because to me that is the secret combo, combining financial literacy and a mindset shift. I think I went too far. It's not super structured. She will come take the stage. And then when I come in, we'll go to the next. We have a special speaker here that will come in at some point. Grace, where are you? Wherever you are. Yeah, please, you want to come over somewhere to the front. Thank you for coming up. Okay, I'm going to let her take the stage now. I'll be back in 5 minutes and we can go into some real fun stuff. But again, like I said, I've reserved the best for the last. I'll show you how I got my first 5 properties using 5 different strategies, because I know there's somebody here who would like to invest and they think they don't have capital. I'll show you how I invested. I'll show you how I get all those properties, and you will be open to asking questions. So let's have fun. Can I just hear a big rise and shine? Rise and shine! I like the energy. Talk to you soon. Okay, have you,